Now, I'm not going to go in any particular order because my list was not in the order that I wanted to go in, so I'm just going to go down the list. At Sony's press conference, last year, at Sony's press conference at E3 2016, we were introduced to a stunning looking game called Days Gone. Days Gone, now we know, is an open world zombie game. It has the same. Now we got to see gameplay. We saw 7 minutes of gameplay for Days Gone at this year's E3. I think it looks stunning. Crimson, you think it looks okay. I will be buying a PS4 for this game. Maybe not the Pro, because again, I don't have a 4K television and I don't see the need to get one. Maybe just the Slim or the regular. But I would get it for this game. The zombies, the fact that the zombies react to sound is like DayZ. The fact that they can run and the fact that they are in hordes and you can use it, as you could use them as a weapon as well as use them as a deterrent to not go a certain way is amazing. I hope it's like The Division with zombies. That's kind of how I saw it. It was The Division with zombies. You have an option to either, like in the gameplay, move the bear trap over to where he moved it in the game, or fire your gun and just hope that every shot is a headshot. Maybe that's something that you could be like, that can be, used. It looks, and I like the premise of, Sons of Anarchy meets The Walking Dead, or Norman Reedus's character of The Walking Dead, at full-fledged. Speaking of Norman Reedus, speaking of Norman Reedus, we didn't see anything from Death Stranding, and I still have no idea what that game's about, but Kojami is a weird ass whatever. But yeah, I loved Days Gone, and the footage that they showed at PlayStation was awesome. I watched it, I think, 2 or 3 more times this morning, just to reiterate how awesome it was. So yeah, there was that. Another game that was announced at last year's E3, but we saw more footage from it, was Detroit Become Human. Last year's E3, it looked like you get to play the same scenario a couple times, and you get to make different decisions. And based off those decisions, it changes the gameplay further down the road, which is cool. This year, it kind of looked like, again, another The Division, an open world, like do whatever you want, and the decisions you make, again, change what happens down the road. Detroit, it looked interesting. I watched last year's trailer again today and this year's trailer, and both of them, they told 2 very different games. However, both games look very interesting. And it was 2 separate games, but 2 very similar games. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it was very interesting. Again, it looks like the Decision games. Heavy Rain in that other one. Yeah, it's like all games with. It's just Heavy Rain in that other one. Now, Sony decided to finish off their press conference with a reveal that we all thought might be Death Stranding or Last of Us or something. It turned out it was Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man game seemed to be like all the other same Spider-Man games, where it was the fluidity of it was upgraded because the graphics are now upgraded. Because nowadays Open world is the big thing. Spider-Man looks to be an open world with a linear storyline, but a different lot of things. As I said before when we were talking about God of War, this is the other game I was discussing that has the Batman mechanics. Exactly, Crimson. It has the Batman fighting mechanics where you could be surrounded by a whole bunch of guys and you could fight each of them at the same time. It is like how Spider-Man fights in real life in the comics and the movies and stuff like that. This gameplay looked great. There were some QuickTime event actions and stuff like that. There were some things that, like running, like Tomb Raider style, like running away from a collapsing building and stuff like that. But yeah, QTE or QuickTime events is kind of Spider-Man's thing. That's where the Spidey sense. Yes, Crimson. You and I are on the same wavelength, man. With Spidey senses and all that kind of stuff, with all the fast kind of moving around and whatnot. It looked stunning, but I have to say, every time they've come out with a new Spider-Man game, they've always looked stunning for the time that they came out with. When the Tobey Maguire movies came out and they came out with that new movie, boom, that Spider-Man game looked awesome. When The Amazing Spider-Man came out, I think Sony announced another game like that, and now it turns out like when another Spider-Man game comes out, a movie comes out, the game is going to be quickly behind it. I mean, I'm a fan. I don't really mind about that. I already kind of discussed the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Ubisoft, yes. So there were two at the E3 press conferences. There were two pirate games that were announced. The first of which was Sea of Thieves, which is a game that came out in beta. Looks like they changed it from the way some of the streamers that I've been listening to have been talking about. They changed the play style a little bit to make it fit. It's cartoony. It's got, silly punny jokes and stuff like that. And, all sorts of, gimmicky type pirate things. You could put one of your mates in a cannon and shoot them over to the island or shoot them over to another ship or something like that. Really, fun, cartoony kind of thing. It's got adventure and action and all that kind of stuff. And it looked fun. It really did look fun. Ubisoft announced a game that is the complete opposite. Skull and Bones. It is strictly a pirate naval warfare game. It is a shared world. If you are familiar with the Crimson, you and I are on different wavelengths with these game announcements. If you were a fan of the Assassin's Creed ships in Black Flag, which I'm gonna go back to and play because of this, the mechanics are exactly the same as Skull and Bones because it's from the same developer, so they just translated it over. 5-on-5 ship battle. Each ship is controlled by a player, and the player is the ship. So you are the captain, or you are this, or you are that, on one ship. It's not Black Wake is currently like is currently the like pirate game to play. However, you can only play one person on a ship. So if you're the captain, there's another person on your server playing as your first mate, or playing as a gunner, or playing as the main sales mate, or something like that. They decided to throw all that away and say a person is a ship. So for now, you have 5 people against 5 people. Each person gets a ship. And then there's all sorts of other smaller games within the battle. However, it's 5 on 5, 10 ships at a time in the water. It looks stunning. It looks fun. It looks so realistic. But it also, watching the gameplay, it felt easy to learn, which is something that I take a look at because I'm not the best of gamers. However, I am behind. Okay, I am behind this game. I actually signed up for the beta, so hopefully I get in on the beta. I signed it up for PC, so if you have a decent PC, you could go for it. Another interesting game that I wanted to talk about was Starlink, Battle for Atlas. Starlink is kind of like Skylanders. It's kind of like Lego Dimensions and Disney Infinity and pretty much anything on Nintendo with the amiibos. It is a toys to life game. And the way it's a toys to life is anyway, the play style looks a lot like Rest in Peace, No Man's Sky, with the colorful ships and all that kind of stuff. However, IRL, in real life, you get a ship that can connect to your controller, and I think it only comes out on PlayStation. So it connects to your controller, and then any modifications you make on this ship, it makes in the game. It makes on the ship in the game. So if you're going up against a certain mech or a bad guy or whatever creature it is, and it's a fire creature and you need an ice weapon and you have it on your desk or on your couch or in its holding case, you can detach whatever gun you want to replace, attach that on there, and hopefully and apparently seamlessly it does it like that in there. I thought this game was interesting. I can see the allure of it. If you look at pictures or if you watch the trailer or something, the ship on the controller looks a little distracting. Although you don't need the ship, you don't need the toy in order to play the game. So there's a saving grace in that. But you know, the toys to life thing, I know it's meant to go for the kids. However, the gameplay didn't really look like it was for kids. It looked a little bit older. Again, it looked more like No Man's Sky, where it could pass off as a kid's game, but it was really meant for adults. So that's Starlink, Battle for Atlas. Toys to life, not really, you know, we'll have to see how it goes. A lot of people were turned off by the toys thing, but if they could, they would definitely push that forward. Sea of Thieves, I already spoke about that. EA. All right, EA had that. All right, Okay, cool. All right, so 2 last games to announce, and they're both from EA. First of which was a game from an indie developer that announced at the EA conference, and I think they showed a little bit more footage at Microsoft. I can't be too sure. It was called A Way Out, and it's an indie game. It's not a AAA announced game, but it's an indie game. It is a cooperative adventure action movie, which I didn't talk about Monster Hunter. Thank you so much, Crimson. Yeah, they announced Monster Hunter at Sony's. The stream I was watching, nobody really knew except for one guy, and I noticed you said before, and Aaron BioSaber said before, that it's for a small niche of people. if I could remember correctly, what. Hold on, let me see how good my YouTube skills are. Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter. Oh yeah, I have to also go through all the Nintendo stuff. So Monster Hunter, or okay, now I remember. All right, Monster Hunter looked like the yeah, so it's on. Yeah, it's been on Nintendo like DS, and I think someone said it was on the PlayStation Vita, but it was on the Nintendo 3DS, and it's huge in Japan. Monster Hunter had the allure of like Dark Souls. Wow, it's almost as popular as Pokemon. Okay, all right, cool. It looked to me like a Dark Souls sort of adventure type game where, you know, you're running around in a world. You have, you know, different things that you can attack and gain stuff from. It's an RPG, and then you have big bosses that, you know, I don't think they'll kill you as quickly as Dark Souls does, but that's what it kind of looked like. I'm not too sure about the franchise. Crimson, you seem to be the man behind it. And if you're a fan of it, I say go for it. It looked interesting. I have not played Dark Souls myself. Yeah. I mean, I have the Dark Souls board game here. I've been watching the Dark Souls board games with Crit Camp. Yeah, harder than Dark Souls, but it has that allure, like the same sort of third person over the shoulder kind of allure, like look to it. It's just different monsters and a lot lighter. Because the footage we saw at E3 was all like daylight and stuff like that. So that was that. So that was Monster Hunter. I'm sorry I completely forgot about that. I knew I should have written that down and I didn't. But thanks for reminding me, Crimson. See, that's why I like having people here. Boss battles. So A Way Out was really interesting in the fact that they really pushed the co-op aspect of it. Now you have to play co-op either with someone locally, which is something that has been almost forgotten, except for first-person shooters who want to play like the new Call of Duties with a friend while they're sitting on the couch together, or you know, I want to play with my wife or something like that. Like there's all these, you know, all these different scenarios where you do want to play couch cooperative or couch competitive, and they just don't have it anymore, or there's mods you have to get and stuff like that, and I don't want to deal with that. A Way Out is the exact opposite. They force you to play this game cooperatively, either with the person on the couch next to you, or you could play with someone online. But you play two different characters, and the way you make decisions in the game is how you go. Now, what was really cool was they were showing us some actual gameplay where one of the guys is a new inmate in a prison, and he's getting chewed out by the warden, you know, welcome, the Bible, blah, 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 blah. The other player is playing a character who's already in jail. Now, during the cutscene where the new guy, new fish, I'll call him, was getting chewed out by the warden, that was a cutscene. However, the other guy who's already in jail could walk in and out of his cell, up and down the cell block, while the cutscene was going on the other side of the screen. That was awesome. And a lot of the things like, you know, one guy can go left, the other guy could go right. It was innovative, and it was innovative in a good way. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that, and it's something I'm going to keep an eye on, because if I could get someone to play with, and if you could get someone to do this, the decisions you can make and the decisions that person can make would be amazing to watch on on stream or just amazing to play because you get to make it's really putting it forth of allowing a regular player to be a content creator without being without having to be a streamer or something like that. And that's really cool. That I really do like. The final game I'm going to talk about tonight before we quickly get into Nintendo's surprise was Anthem. Anthem's being called possibly the Destiny killer, if it's Destiny gameplay. Anthem is EA's answer to, I think, the Destiny, the Divisions, the Ghost Recons, the PUBGs. I think it's a little bit of everything. Not only did it look stunning, but it moved. That's fine, man. Be as responsive as you need to be. Don't text and walk, especially with a laptop. Anthem looked amazing. It was beautiful. I mean, even on my 1080 screen, it will look amazing. But the gameplay, and I know when I first watched the Division trailer, I had the same feelings. And then I was a little let down by the Division. But because a lot of it's canned talking and stuff like that. And I've learned my lessons since then. But the way Anthem played and the way that it feels like it's going to play, it looks as if it could compete with the likes of Destiny or Gears of War or Halo in its own right. We have to see a little bit more. We saw about 3-4 minutes of gameplay. We did not see any UI. We just saw movement, shooting, we saw a little bit of UI where they were choosing weapons and stuff like that, and you get if you beat a boss or if you beat a part of a story that you're chasing down, you do get some loot from it. That will, a new gun, a new upgrade to your mech suit. It looked really cool. It looked as if you were bringing in mech into Destiny, where your armor is also your weapon. So I'm really excited to see more of that. To get it, it's too early to tell. But as far as new games go, this is one of the most talked about games of E3 until Tuesday. Little old company by the name of Nintendo decided to do about a half-hour, 45-minute press conference. Now, they've already unveiled the Switch. They've already unveiled a couple of titles for the Switch. In fact, at Ubisoft, they unveiled their Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. But at this news press conference, they decided to announce a couple more games. Metro Prime 4 has been announced. A new Kirby game has been announced. A new Yoshi side-scroller game has been announced. A new Pokemon game was announced for Switch. Skyrim was announced earlier at Bethesda, coming to Switch, so that will grab some of the older people. Fire Emblem, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were announced. But the game that I think will convince me to buy the Mario Odyssey is, and if Chris from Crit Camp were here, it is not Rocket League. It was Super Mario Odyssey. Holy crap, that game looks amazing. And that game came out of left field. We all knew it was coming out. However, this was the first game footage anyone has ever seen. And this game footage, I showed my wife tonight, and even herself, who's not much of a gamer or at all a gamer, thought that some of the stuff that they were doing in this Odyssey game was amazing. Some of the stuff that they're doing is groundbreaking. It is just bonkers what they're doing. They jump from 2D back to the original 8-bit, it's probably 16-bit, but 8-bit Mario, right back to 3D. The music changes to the 8-bit soundtrack that you would hear if you were in that level. Then again, it switches to the full orchestra that Mario Odyssey uses. They've introduced a new mechanic where you get a hat called Cappy. You could throw the hat on certain objects and turn into a ball of electricity if you throw it onto a wire. It turns into the bullets from the cannons that you hated from Super Mario and 1, 2, 3, and 64. And you can control the missile as well. You could use the hat kind of like a frisbee juggernaut to get objects and to shoot Goombas from across the board. Again, depending on the object you throw your hat at, depends on the interaction that you'll get from it. I have no other words other than I am completely amazed by this game. The past iterations of Mario for the Wii and the Wii U, they served their purpose. When the Nintendo Switch was announced, it wasn't 4K capable. It doesn't play local videos, at least. The only allure to it was I could pick up my game. I didn't see the Kirby footage. I know that there is Kirby footage. I have to watch it to know my hype for it. I've been watching Mario like Odyssey like over and I watched the Twitch stream of it. I watched the trailer. I watched IGN play it. I watched GameSpot play it. I watched everybody play this game just because I was astonished as to what Nintendo has decided to do. Now again, the Switch is not necessarily is not built to go up against the monsters of PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. It is, however, meant to entertain, and it is meant to close the gap of or merely, and I said this before in my older shows, that Nintendo went bold in a completely different way. Instead of saying, yeah, we're going to make the best looking console with the best looking games ever, they sat there and said, you know what market is actually really, really doing well that we could break into? Mobile. And that's who Nintendo's going after, is mobile gamers. Get off your phones playing Candy Crush or playing, Words with Friends. Pick up a Nintendo Switch. Play a full HD game like Zelda, like Super Mario Odyssey, like Kirby, like Yoshi, like Xenoblade, like Skyrim. Take it on the road with you. Play with friends. When they get more titles, more people will flock to it. And I think by Tuesday's press conference alone, Switch will go sold out again. It is as of this evening, as of me taping this podcast and streaming this live, I'm looking at Best Buy's website right now on my phone, and it is sold. The Switch is still sold out online. Now, I'm sure if I go to a Nintendo store or if I go somewhere else, a GameStop maybe, they'll maybe have them. But that's telling you something. It may not be beefier. However, the boldness that Nintendo went with going up against mobile gaming, which is not really an interest of mine. However, it's mobile gaming. I just think it's money pits. I play free games, or I'll download when it's free. Like Monument Valley, I played 2 years after it came out because it was free for a week in iOS's App Store. And then when it was like, hey, you could play 5 more levels for $2.99, I was like, no, I'm good with the 10 that you gave me. And then I sped run it. And then I deleted it. And now Monument Valley 2 is going to come out, and I'll wait for that to be free in 2 years. I think this is what we've been waiting for from Nintendo. Yes, the Switch is innovative. Yes, the Switch is kind of taking console wars to a different level. Not the next level, but a different level. Yes, it was a bit of a letdown that Nintendo didn't have as many games or as many adult type games. But I think now after Tuesday's press conference, this got real. And I think Nintendo has started to bring themselves back up into the realm of competitor when it comes to this console war. So that was my take on a lot of the new games. I know I sped up a little quicker, but again, there weren't as many new games announced. In fact, Days Gone and a couple of other games that I mentioned, Detroit, they weren't necessarily like announced. Whatchamacallit? They weren't necessarily like. They were announced last year, but because they're not coming out till 2018, it gave Sony something else to play to keep people like, oh yeah, you guys are still developing this. Whereas other games like The Last of Us, the second game for The Last of Us, and this Death Stranding game is nowhere to be found. Is what's more disconcerting for viewers, streamers, and gamers alike. With that, I think I'm going to call it an evening. I might be on Sunday. We'll see. I know I have a lot of news to get up on with DC, Marvel, Star Wars, so on and so forth. So maybe I think we'll talk all about that. But because E3 press conferences just finished, and I'm sure we'll be getting more news, and everything I said tonight will said during the show. Recording it will be obsolete by the time I upload it, but be sure to check out the vodcasts, the VODs on YouTube. They'll be cut up into different ones. Like the tech one will be alone, the old games will be alone, and the new games will be alone. The podcast is just the entire 2 hour and change scenario for you guys. Check me out on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. And I'm still working on some other ones. We'll see. But yeah, drop me a line on Twitter, anything like that. I've been posting a lot of magazines and stuff like that. Always message me on Twitter, message me on Twitch. Feel free to add me on Steam. Just look for the new Nerd in Town and look for the TV with my face. I think it's on there. Same thing with Origin and Uplay. I'm always looking to play with people. I've been playing a lot of Players Unknown. I've been playing GTA RP, and yeah, I might re-download it and play it again. Who knows? But yeah, enjoy the games you love. Enjoy the movies you watch. Enjoy the TV shows you watch. I hope this was as informative as like a recap as it can be. Crimson, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with me and, give me some feedback and stuff. We're not on the same level with games, but I doesn't matter. You have your games, I have my games, and guess what? We both live our lives. Thank you so much for Ahawi3 for hitting the follow button. It's free. Just do it. Hit it. We're up to 81 followers. I know I'm trying to reach for 100, and I know that seems like a small goal, but it's a big goal in my mind. And then it's on to the next one. Good Lord. As far as followers go on Twitter, I broke 500 followers on Twitter. 509 people actually care about the stuff I post. Yay! like, wow. It's just been really cool. Check out Crit Camp, twitch.tv/Crit Camp. I think they're playing some Zombicide Black Plague. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on at work where I'm busier and I'm just burnt out. So I won't be streaming as much. Maybe when there's a lot of big things to come up, like I know San Diego Comic-Con's coming up this summer. New York Comic-Con's coming up in October, and I'll be there all 4 days. As we go on further with more Star Wars games, more Star Wars news will be coming out because we're getting closer and closer to The Last Jedi being released. Lots of new trailers have come out. Wonder Woman, the movie, came out. I saw that with Chelsea. It was a fantastic movie. I could talk about it on I'll probably talk about it on Sunday. Yeah. By all means, enjoy the things you do. I love every single one of you out there. I especially love you. You know who you are. And everybody have a great and wonderful evening. Bye.